The sea, a vast, lawless frontier where men and women defied empires for gold, freedom, and adventure. This is the story of the Golden Age of Piracy, an era that changed the world. Piracy has existed for as long as humans have sailed the seas, but the Golden Age of Piracy truly began in the late 17th century. As European empires fought for dominance, opportunists took to the waves. The collapse of the Spanish monopoly over the New World left vast stretches of ocean vulnerable. Out-of-work sailors and former privateers, once sanctioned by their nations, now found themselves without allegiance and without income. And so, the age of true piracy began. To thrive, pirates needed safe harbors. These weren't mere hideouts. They were bustling trade hubs. Nassau, a pirate stronghold in the Bahamas, became the infamous Republic of Pirates. Here, ex-sailors, fugitives, and opportunists formed a rogue society. Smuggling and illicit trade flourished as pirates supplied black market goods to merchants willing to pay. They disrupted the established trade routes, making the seas a dangerous place for legitimate commerce. Pirates didn't just steal gold and jewels, they disrupted entire economies. European powers relied on massive merchant fleets to transport goods across the Atlantic, and pirates saw these ships as easy prey. They seized everything from sugar and tobacco to textiles and spices. Unlike traditional navies, pirate crews operated under their own code, often electing their captains and sharing plunder equally. Their democratic structures stood in stark contrast to the rigid hierarchies of naval fleets. Many pirates became legends, their names whispered in fear and awe. Blackbeard, or Edward Teach, terrorized the seas, using psychological warfare to strike fear into his enemies. Bartholomew Roberts, the most successful pirate by sheer numbers, captured over 400 ships. Meanwhile, Anne Bonny and Mary Read defied conventions, proving that piracy was not solely a man's game. These pirates shaped the myths we still hear today, but the reality of their lives was far more brutal than the stories suggest. Pirates didn't just rely on brute force. They had specialized ships designed for speed and agility. The sloop, a favorite among pirates, could outrun and outmaneuver most naval ships. Their weapons, from cutlasses to flintlock pistols, were used with ruthless efficiency. Pirate crews were masters of boarding enemy vessels, striking fear into their victims before a single shot was fired. As piracy flourished, European empires grew determined to crush it. The British Royal Navy, backed by other colonial powers, launched a brutal crackdown. Pirate hunters scoured the seas, capturing notorious figures. Many pirates met their end on the gallows, their bodies displayed as warnings to others. Maritime laws evolved to make piracy punishable by death, and the once thriving pirate strongholds were dismantled one by one. By the 1730s, the Golden Age of Piracy had all but vanished. Piracy was a world dominated by men, but a few fearless women defied the odds. Anne Bonny and Mary Read dressed as men to blend in, proving their worth in battle. Qing Shi, a Chinese pirate queen, commanded one of the largest pirate fleets in history. These women shattered stereotypes, showing that piracy was not just about brute strength, but about cunning, courage, and resilience. Though the age of piracy has long ended, its echoes remain. Modern piracy still exists, particularly in areas like the waters off Somalia and Southeast Asia. Shipping companies employ security measures once used against Golden Age pirates. Meanwhile, the romanticized image of the pirate lives on in literature, film, and folklore. From Hollywood blockbusters to historical reenactments, the legend of the pirate continues to evolve. Pirates were often seen as lawless criminals, but they lived by a surprisingly structured code. Pirate codes dictated how plunder was shared, how disputes were settled, and how discipline was enforced. Captains were elected, and crew members had rights, a stark contrast to the strict naval discipline of the time. These codes ensured fairness, loyalty, and order among pirates, shaping the way they operated and interacted with one another. Pirate history is filled with legendary battles, from ship-to-ship duels to full-scale assaults on coastal towns. One of the most famous encounters was Blackbeard's last stand, where he fought to the death against the British Navy. Other battles saw entire fleets of pirates clash with naval forces, proving that piracy was more than just isolated raids. It was a constant struggle for survival against the world's greatest powers. Not all pirates were outlaws. Some were sanctioned by their governments. Privateers, or legalized pirates, were granted letters of marque to raid enemy ships during wartime. These privateers blurred the line between patriotism and piracy, as many turned to full-fledged piracy once peace was declared. Figures like Sir Francis Drake and Henry Morgan made fortunes under the guise of privateering, challenging the idea that piracy was purely criminal. The romanticized image of pirates has captivated the world for centuries. From novels like Treasure Island to Hollywood blockbusters, pirates have been immortalized in pop culture. But how much of this image is based on reality? The truth is, while pirates were ruthless criminals, they were also complex figures who shaped history, inspiring stories of adventure, rebellion, and freedom. The Hollywood version of pirates is vastly different from the harsh reality. Pirates weren't always the swashbuckling adventurers portrayed in films. Life aboard a pirate ship was brutal, filled with disease, hunger, and constant threats from rival crews and navies. However, unlike traditional sailors, pirates had more freedom and financial incentives, which made the risk worthwhile for many. The Caribbean was the epicenter of the Golden Age of Piracy. With countless islands, hidden coves, and weak colonial rule, it became the perfect place for pirates to thrive. Spanish treasure fleets regularly transported gold and silver from the Americas to Europe, making the region a prime target. The constant power struggles between European empires only fueled the growth of piracy, making the Caribbean a battleground on the high seas. Why do pirates continue to captivate our imaginations? Their defiance of authority, their pursuit of freedom, and their larger-than-life personalities make them legendary figures. Whether they were ruthless criminals or romantic rebels, pirates remain symbols of adventure and rebellion. Their stories continue to inspire books, films, and even modern-day businesses, ensuring that the legend of the pirate will never fade. The life of a pirate was fraught with danger, and many seafarers turned to superstition to ward off misfortune. From believing that whistling on a ship could summon storms to fearing the dreaded Jonah, a sailor said to bring bad luck, pirates clung to countless omens. Legends also spoke of ghost ships like the Flying Dutchman, doomed to sail the seas forever. Some pirates even performed rituals before battle, seeking the favor of the sea gods. These myths and beliefs, born from the unpredictable nature of the ocean, continue to weave themselves into maritime folklore today. The idea of buried treasure is one of the most enduring pirate myths. But was it real? While most pirates spent their plunder quickly, some legends suggest that great hoards remain hidden. The treasure of Captain Kidd, rumored to be buried along the coast of the Americas, has lured treasure hunters for centuries. The wrecks of Spanish galleons still hold untold riches beneath the waves. Even today, divers and historians search for lost pirate gold, proving that the dream of buried treasure is very much alive. But whether these treasures exist or are just stories passed down through time, They continue to fuel our fascination with piracy. Pirate flags, known as the Jolly Roger, were more than just symbols. They were psychological weapons. The sight of a black flag often meant a pirate ship was nearby, and many crews surrendered without a fight. Different pirates had unique designs. Blackbeard's flag featured a skeleton raising a toast to death, while Calico Jack's had crossed swords. Some pirates flew red flags, signaling that no quarter would be given. These banners, both terrifying and iconic, still evoke the spirit of piracy centuries later. From Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island to Hollywood blockbusters, pirates have been immortalized in popular culture. The image of the swashbuckling rogue, complete with a peg leg and a talking parrot, is a far cry from historical reality, but it continues to captivate audiences. Video games, TV shows, and theme park rides have kept the legend alive, blending fact with fiction. The legacy of pirates is no longer just a chapter in history, it's a permanent fixture in entertainment, inspiring new generations to dream of adventure on the high seas.